everybody, welcome back to my makeup this week. So this week we'll be focusing on eyeshadow, the main basics to create a perfect eyeshadow look. And today I have Vivian Wong as my model again. She recently was in 2 pageants for Miss Asia Canada and she got second runner-up. And how was that trip? Was it fun?
It was so much fun.
Yeah, well that's why I want to use this gorgeous model this week. So the first step for amazing eyeshadow application is primer. People usually don't think it's important, but it's so important because it really brings out the true color of your shadow. And it really makes your eyeshadow stay all day. So if you're going out, if you're going for dinner, if you want your eyeshadow to stay, make sure to put primer. I like to use the Urban Decay primer, but you can use simply anything. Even if you put concealer and set it with powder, that works as a primer. So I'm gonna prime Vivian's eyes on each side and add a thin layer all the way up, leave a centimeter from her brows. If you have oily lids, this also helps with creasing. I don't know if you know what creasing is, but it is when your eyeshadow starts to create lines because the oil in the eyeshadow goes in between your wrinkles. If you start to apply eyeshadow at the bottom, make sure to apply primer at the bottom of your lids as well, like where your line is. It pops out white, but don't be afraid because we will be putting eyeshadow on top of this. So today I'll be creating a simple look that you can use for meetings, work, even going out if you're not comfortable with wearing that much makeup. So I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills collection and the Tartelette Clay collection. These two are extremely pigmented and I like to use these dark, deep, warm purples because as for Asian complexion, it works really well with our skin. One tip I have as well is the color swatch, the duo. So this is a color swatch from Vera Mona. It comes in this little canister, and what happens if you want to switch a color but use the same brush, all you have to do is swatch it a couple times and your brush is just clean. That way you don't have to worry about washing a brush and then waiting for it to dry. Instead, you can just swatch and simply apply on your other color of eyeshadow. So for my makeup brushes today, I'll be using all Morphe brushes. Morphe is a great, inexpensive brand to use. Very, very comparable to Sephora. One brush at Sephora may be $30, but at Morphe it is $5. You can get this online on their store or simply in their store if you're in the States at all. One of my favorite brushes to use is their M514. This brush I use for the base shadow. So I'm going to swatch it just in case I haven't done this before. And starting with the base color, you really want to build up your eyeshadow. If you don't build up your eyeshadow, what happens is it does not look blended, and blended is a no good of a look. So I'm going to use the color Natural Beauty first. This is a lighter color that I'm going to use as transition color, so you can see this on the outer corners of your eyes. So I'm going to apply this simply on the outer corners of your eyes. You won't see much now, but later on it'll help that blended look. Go about halfway and then slowly blend back into her eye. Take your time with eyeshadow. Don't rush your eyeshadow because 1, it might be uneven, 2, it might be unblended, and then 3, it might just look cakey. You might want to add a little bit more slowly at the end if you want more, but add your colors slowly and transition them. Right now I'm trying to go for a soft creased look. Turn your face towards me. What I really like about this palette is that it has a lot of transition colors, so you can go from lights to darks. A lot of palettes go straight just a smoky look. So when I'm looking for an eyeshadow palette, I really look for variety in a palette because you want to look for that transition color, end color, and start color. So from light to dark. If you just go for a palette with mainly dark colors, that's good for a smoky look, but not for everyday uses. Next up, I'm going to use the same brush. Like I said, it's my favorite brush, the M514, and go with a slightly darker color. So I'm going to go in with Force of Nature. And this is going to add a little bit more depth to the eye. Add that right below your first color. Vivian, how do you like these brushes? Are they soft?
They're really soft.
Yeah, so when I'm looking for brushes, I always make sure that they're soft. They're soft on the eyes, they're easy on the eyes. I really like to start off with the looser bristled brushes first because it adds the color on lightly. And then I save the dense ones for when you really want the darker, deeper colors. So next I'm going to start off with a deeper color, and this is where her crease is going to be. This is going to be the second last color. I'm going to go with Best Friend on the Tartelette palette. And I'm just going to add this to the end of her eye crease. Make sure to take your time on this. You can always add, but you cannot take off. And don't worry too much about perfection because there's always blending that we need to do. So right now you can see it's a little bit choppy, but don't worry, we're going to take a looser bristled brush and we're just going to blend away. Usually when you feel uncomfortable with eyeshadow and you're scared to go further, don't worry about it and just start to blend. Then your eyeshadows start to come together. For the darkest color, I'm going to use Bombshell for this palette. And just add it to the corner of her eye. As for Asian eyes, we don't have too much of a second lid, so be careful of how much you're adding. You don't want to make it look like you have a big black halo around your eye. Keep in mind you also have eyeliner and lashes. So start where your lash line is, dab a little eyeshadow on, and work your way up. Again, don't worry. Keep in mind you always have blending. And before you use a brush, always swatch just in case there's another color in it. The best lighting to do any makeup in, especially eyeshadow, is natural light. So if you're doing makeup near a window, I highly recommend it. If you're in a bathroom, make sure you don't have orange light or any fluorescent light because that really changes the color of your shadow and how you're looking at your makeup. For the last color, I'm going to go with Anastasia, their purple palette, and blend in all of the shadow that I did on her before and possibly add some around the crease so it blends. Perfect, and look at me. Perfect. And on her lid, I really want her lids to pop, so I'm gonna go with a flat bristled brush, and I'm going to use a brighter color. This I'm gonna use the same palette, but it has a little bit of sparkle to it, so it's not matte. For sparkle, make sure not to brush it on because it will get on your face. Make sure to always dab it on. Dab it on where you haven't applied the rest of the colors on yet. And look at me. Perfect. Isn't that color gorgeous, that rose gold into the purple? Now, if you find that your non-matte colors are not staying on the lid, make sure to always add primer. Like I said, guys, primer is one of the best magical inventions of makeup there is. Foundation primer, eyeshadow primer. Prime it up. Next up is eyeliner. You never finish a look without eyeliner unless you're doing an editorial model look. For this, I recommend for beginners to use the Liner Designer by Beauty Blender. Anybody heard of Beauty Blender? You've heard of Beauty Blender, right? That stuff is amazing for blending foundation. Now, the Liner Designer is designed so you can have a perfect, sharp wing liner. I recommend this if you're in a rush, if you're a beginner at eyeliner, anything like that. So when models have fidgety eyes or they're not used to it, I tend to put this on so that I don't move my hand either. So I'm just gonna get you to look down, and don't close your eyes for this because this really does change the shape of your eyeliner. And what's beautiful about this product is it sticks onto their face, but it comes off, so don't worry. I'm just gonna get you to look down. Now you don't see much. That's because I'm using the Kat Von D tattoo liner as a guide. I'm not using it as my full liner. So what I mean by guide is this is a really good sharp liner that you can use, and it's really good to get those sharp edges. Now people ask me, TC, how do you know where to put your liner? As in a little bit higher angled, a little bit lower angled? It depends on everyone's eye shape. So if you have a sadder eye shape, I recommend a little bit higher. If you have more almond eye shapes, I recommend going with your natural flow. So she has more of an almond, and I made the angle so that her bottom line of her eye is matching with her eyeliner. That way she doesn't look too perky, or it doesn't look like it's cat-lined wing too much. And we're not going for the cat eye look for this. So I start with the bottom line and I swish it out and close. And then I slowly move inwards towards her eyes. Lining doesn't have to be one quick movement, it's very slow. What you do is you add a little bit at a time to create that perfect look. Same thing on the other side. Vivian is an awesome model. She never moves, which is perfect. Perfect, and now let that liner dry and make sure not to open your eyes, especially because we have Asian eyes and our lids do touch the top of our eyeshadow. That will ruin the look that you want, because then you'll have a wet line of liquid liner on your eyelid. Allow that to dry for a couple minutes, or if you can't, make sure to slowly open your eyes and don't open them fully. Next up, what's important is lashes. Every time you use eyeshadow, I highly recommend lashes because it creates the finished look that you want, unless you're doing an editorial fashion shoot. So right now I'm just using lashes. You can order these lashes anywhere online or buy them from any Asian shop. They're called Model 21, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard about them. They come in stacks like this. Sometimes I like the more natural look, but for this I'm going to double them up because I want them more dramatic. So once you've doubled up your lashes, make sure to stick with the eyelash glue you're comfortable with. Mine is the Duo in dark tone because I like how it dries a dark tone. That way you don't have white glue showing up on your eyelids when you're applying your lashes. Vivian likes to laugh at my eyeshadow puns. Okay. So when applying lashes, never close your eyes because you will glue your eyes together. So let's keep them open and look down. So I'm gonna get you to look down for me, Vivian. I recommend using tweezers because you also have more control. Like my other episode that I have, I've used tweezers so that I don't have to use my nails and that glue doesn't get everywhere. Same thing again here. Make sure you fit your lashes to your eyes. If they're too big for your eyes, people can tell, and it will make your eyes look droopy and sad. Add a small strip of glue to your lashes and allow it to dry so they stay a little bit tacky. So what's important when you use false lashes is to always bind your lashes with your false lashes. How you do that is using mascara and an eyelash curler. I'm going to apply a thin layer of mascara while she's looking forward to each side of her eyes. She just thinks I'm funny. I'm glad she thinks I'm funny. She's having fun. And then curl your lashes together with the false lashes. Look a little bit forward for me. Perfect. Can't you see that difference in her eyes and how wider they look? I mean, Asians don't have really wide eyes, so we really want to enhance that look either way. Next is you want to even out her eyes. Right now at the bottom we have nothing and we have heavy makeup on the top. How we do this is adding liner at the bottom. So right now I'm using the Marc Jacobs liner. This is such a smooth and glossy liner, but another comparable liner we can use is NYX liner. You can get that anywhere like Shoppers Drug Mart, London Drugs. So add this halfway at the bottom of her liner, her waterline. And don't worry about it being too matte because we're going to add eyeshadow. So when adding eyeshadow, I like to use a smaller, thin brush. As you can tell, it's a lot more dense and it's extremely thin. And we're going to go in with her darker crease color and we're going to add it right below her liner. blend that out nicely. There you go, we evened out her look. I'm just going to brush some of the fallout shadow that we have and reapply your concealer if you need to. Perfect. Then again, always go back to your eyeshadow because your eyes might be tired from looking at it and see what you can improve with it. So right now I can improve her blending, and I'm going to just add a little bit more shadow on this side so that it looks the same. The very last step is to finish off your liner. So you'll have eyelash glue, you'll see your falsies, but reapply that line right above your falsies. This gives a more clean and crisp look to your shadow and your liner. Next step is to add highlighter just to finish off the look. Add highlighter to the peak of the nose, peak of your cupid's bow, and your cheekbones. This really pops out areas that you want to. And after that, a quick lippy. NYX Liquid Lip Stains Lingerie is an extremely inexpensive and comparable product to many you find in Sephora. It's only $12 each, and it lasts just as long as Kat Von D, Stila, and anything like that. If you like the glossier look, make sure to add gloss to it. So what I've done to her face today is, close your eyes, Vivian, is add depth to her shadow by blending in 4 different shades and then adding a copper tone to bring out those colors, as well as winged out her liner so that it elongates her eyes and make sure that it's sharp so that it looks finished and crisp. After that, open your eyes. I've added lashes so that it opens up her eyes and as well as enhances her lash line. And at the bottom, simply did a easy dry liner and blended in some shadow. After that, after face contour, face foundation, simply added highlighter to bring out the white features in her face. And after that, a simple lip. You want to stick with simple lips, not dark, for everyday use, like if you were to go to the mall, if you were to office work, anything like that. And simply add gloss so that she looks more casual. Thanks guys for joining me on my makeup this week so I can show you tips and tricks from my makeup to how to put on eyeshadow. Join us next week where I'm super excited, skincare, the most essential steps to keep your skin youthful and glowing. So I like to use mascara, and one mascara that I love is called, I'm not too sure if this is appropriate on TV, but it's called Better Than Sex.